All right, episode 77. How about that one here on Friday, May 3rd, as we sit down with the great Ryan Divish. His weekly appearance is brought to you by Chalet Bowl, Washington's oldest operating bowling alley, established in 1941. It is located in the fabulous, the beautiful Tacoma's Proctor District, family owned and operated for 40 years. The Frederick family and staff specializes in customer service for your bowling, food, and fun experience while at their unique 12-lane facility. Go to chaletbowl.com to make your reservations. Now,
77 episodes. You still haven't been paid yet, have you?
No, we're still looking for money.
Your wife hates you, doesn't she?
Yes, to a degree. I think there's a lot of, hey, this is great. You're doing awesome. Feedback's been great, but it's like, when are we going to start getting some money out of this?
Well, we always sort
what's
of
happening?
knew Kaisa was like the smarter one, the more successful one. She was always going to carry you. I mean, most of us thought you would just end up getting kicked off radio for saying something offensive. But given your old show and how far you guys pushed the limits between like fluffing and basically it was every urban slang category that the go-to guy didn't know. You know, I was just like, it was pretty amazing. So, I mean, you know, you always outkick the coverage. We knew it. Now she's just your financial backer as well.
She's always been the backbone of the family. She's always made the most money, all of it. But I think I think I'll be up. Patience. It's wearing.
Yeah.
We need to start making money off this thing. It's really cool that you're doing this little like fun side project, and the story's great. Oh, you stood up for someone. Blah blah blah. It's money time. Let's go. Where is it at?
Yeah, it's like when I'm in Montana. Well, I'm Montana now, but in the off season, when I'm in Montana, I'm living at my girlfriend's house, and I don't really have, you know, I mean, I'm technically getting paid by the Seattle Times. I'm writing a couple times a week, but when she's like, "What did you do today?" I don't know, nothing. Same way I do every day, you know. Like, but I tried to convince her that I could be a really good like house husband type. She goes, "The kids go to school. They're teenagers. What would you do?" I mean, like,
you're not doing anything for the kids.
I mean, I go to the gym and do a bunch of baseball lessons. I don't know if although what they charge out there, I should charge. Nobody'd ever pay that much money here for baseball lessons. They expect them for free. Out there,
what do you charge?
$75.
$75 an hour.
Out there, they charge. I don't.
When you say out there, you're talking about Seattle, Tacoma.
Yeah, I don't really charge. I mean, like,
oh, you don't?
If they give me some money, I'll say thanks. If not, I don't.
70. That's what the going rate for these guys are. Are they worth it?
I don't know. I really don't know if they are. I don't know that I'm worth it, but you know, like when I do the lessons, I thought I probably just make them worse. But it's crazy though. Like. Don't get me started on like Ford Sports Performance and the self-promotion there, but like,
hey, we may need Ford Sports Performance for a sponsor.
Yeah, you never know.
No, I don't think we do. Okay, why? Okay, go ahead. I mean, you know what's funny about Ford Sports? Let me tell you a funny story about Ford Sports. So where my daughter does gymnastics for Jimmy's, shout out Jimmy's. It's right next door. They're in that same complex. That it's a whole. Have you ever been over there? It's a whole like sports complex. It's Ford Sports is there. Jimmy's is there. There's like a workout performance. It looks like a CrossFit, but it's for high school kids. That's in there. There's
so they start the cult. They start the CrossFit cult early. Then is that what they do?
Yes.
With high school kids?
And then there's like an indoor badminton thing over there. It's crazy. It's
like I believe in, like, my sister lives down in Denver, and I went to my niece's hitting coach, and the coach was great, but she went there for like a half hour, and we drove from Parker to the airport on the other side of the airport, so it was like 45 minutes. We drove longer than the lesson was, and it was a shared lesson. I was like, how much was that? Oh, that was like $55 for a shared lesson at half an hour.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in the wrong business.
I think this could be your side hustle.
Yeah.
You need to start charging people. I mean,
it's a better side hustle than substitute teaching, where I just hate those.
You used to do that, right? You don't do that anymore, do you?
Yeah, I still do it some.
Oh, you are the perfect, actually not the substitute teacher, but you'd be the perfect teacher.
Because you're a teaching degree, but I'm not.
I know, because people don't know that, right?
Yeah.
Because you're grumpy. You have a slight drinking problem.
Yeah.
And you don't smoke though.
No.
If you were smoking, that would be
Well, it's Montana. You just dip instead. You put in a
Yeah.
Zin instead.
Did you ever have a teacher growing up in Montana that had a dip in while
Oh
they
yeah,
were
all the
teaching?
time. Several.
That's so good. That
Several.
is so good. Spitting, would they spit or are they just gutting
No,
it?
they got it. It's
Oh.
Montana, man. We got it.
Oh, so bad.
But I mean, like all my football coaches, like football coaches, they would. My buddy who was the quarterback on our high school team, he'd play with a dip in sometimes. Football practice, he'd have a dip in.
Have you ever fallen asleep with it in?
No, yeah, one time.
Wow.
A little burning sensation. It was like a skull straight. It wasn't really good.
Oh, there's nothing worse than that. Falling asleep passing out on the couch, and you've got just a dip in the bottom lip. So we, based on the people that are listening, can't obviously see it. You can go back to YouTube and see it. That does not look like a hotel room in Houston.
No.
Where do we find you today here on Friday?
I'm in Havre, Montana.
Okay.
Like with the road trips and having Adam Jude on the beat, finally having kind of a backup that I trust. And, we never really had one that was more focused on baseball, but we kind of switched that over with Adam. I think he was mostly sick of Condota and the rocking and the typing and not letting him write anything fun. No, sorry, Bob. I'm kidding, by the way.
No, we're not kidding. There's a
a
lot of truth to that.
Bob is the hardest working person ever. That's why he doesn't understand technology, because he's too busy writing his 57th roster projection based on like one signing.
But people, you see the numbers probably at the Times. They eat that stuff. It's the number one story probably every day. If he writes anything, the Seahawks, they fart in the wind. It's probably the number one red story.
Well, and Bob's the franchise because he's so consistent, and people know that they can go to the Times, and he's going to have something on the page, and that's kind of the way I try and look at it too, especially during baseball season. Every day of the season, we need to have a story on the Mariners, no matter what, even if they're playing or not. And so that's kind of the way I look at it. Same with spring training. And I mean, you remember the old Husky blog? I mean, your boy Softy. I mean, he would never read that blog with his pants on. I mean, it was like treating his body like an amusement park while he's reading Condota's blog, because he'd have 7 blog posts a day.
Oh God, you know what? You forget. I forget when Condota was on the Husky blog.
Oh, I mean, he was just a machine. Like it's and he has and most of the stuff he just knows off of institutional memory. Like he knows it all, so it's like it's so easy for him.
Was that some of your best memories covering the Huskies for the News Tribune?
Yeah, it was really great when Sark and I used to just stare at each other with hate every day. Where somebody said, "You know why you guys hate each other? Because you're hungover every day of your life."
Yeah, you both you were very similar in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like I think we're the same age too, or close to it. But yeah, it was not one of my favorite times in my life.
Was your favorite memory, which is one of my favorite memories, and I love the story. Favorite memory at the Coug?
Yeah.
What Apple Cup was that? Which year was that? That was it the Locker?
No, it
curse one.
No, it was one. It was one of the first ones on Friday morning.
It was
11 or 12.
It wasn't the terrible one, was it?
No, I was at that one. I was at the Crapple Cup one too. I was at that.
So we'll set the scene. There was a member of. Is he still working for the UW Athletic Department?
No, that man has fallen up his entire life. I think he runs the PGA Tour event at Riviera now.
No.
Oh yeah.
God, we should have been better friends with him.
No, I don't think it's possible.
So Divish gets into it with a sports information guy at UW.
He was a little higher than sports information.
No, what was his role?
He was the assistant athletic director.
That's right. And we're all at the Coug. It's the Friday night or Friday night before the game.
Yeah.
You, me, is Condota there? Tim Booth there? John McGrath is there.
Christian Capel was with the spokesman at that time.
That's right. Capel's there. Jen Cohen is there.
Yeah, they came. It was Jen Cohen and Odie Vincent.
Odie Vincent. We can name who he is.
It's just kind of it's reached urban legend status.
It's so good.
Odie Vincent and then the Carter, what's his name? They all came in and they had been out a deal.
God, Carter, what was his? I want to say Carter Blackburn, but that's the broadcaster. Carter something. I know who you're talking about.
but they all came in after like a deal, like an alumni gathering, come to the Coug, and they're in the tank a bit, and so are we. You know, we're at the Coug, and I'm buying pitchers and bottles of Boone's, and that was when, remember, they had the Twitter policy where you couldn't live tweet their stuff, and then I was mocking. I spent so much time mocking them on Twitter and making fun of them, and OD Vincent kind of
they were not fans of you.
No, because and OD Vincent got in my face a little bit. Well, he's drunk, and he was a close talker, and he had one of his little UW golf buddies with me, and they were like, they kept accusing me of being a Coug, and I was like, I'm a Grizz. I don't care who wins or loses.
Yeah, they were a little hot. They were a little hot, and it was getting aggressive.
Yeah, and then he was like, he kept saying, it's like, what we're doing now, we're the future. We're moving the media out. What we're doing now. I go, yeah, Greg Bell Unleashed. I'm really worried about losing my job to that. And he was like, and that's how you couldn't tweet and everything. And
yeah, they were pretty tight-lipped then.
Yeah, and then he kind of gave he was like, he said something to me. He's like, well, you think you're so damn funny on Twitter. And I go, no, I am funny. I am funny on Twitter. People will say it, and like, so they're kind of getting into it. And I said, and then his little buddy was chiming in. I said, you need to get your buddy away from me very quickly, or things are going to get really ugly. And then he kept saying stuff, and he's getting closer. And I said, we can just go outside. And I said, I'll bounce your head off the curb, and then everybody will cheer, including the people that work with you. And apparently Jen Cohen at that point had said to Bob, she's like, Bob, you got to do something. You got to do something. And Bob was, Bob had a few beers, and he looks at her and he goes, when Ryan bounces his head off this table, it's going to be the greatest day of my life. And she goes, Ryan wouldn't really do that. And she goes, Bob said something like, you know where he's from, right? How they operate. And so then the next day, Scott Woodward came up to me and
Scotty Woodward.
He tried to apologize. Hey, things got a little interesting last night. I said, Scott, it was 30 seconds away from OD's most embarrassing thing of his life. I go, I'd have lost my job for it. And I said, I wouldn't have felt bad one bit.
And people need to realize OD Vincent, looks just like you would imagine a spoiled rich kid who grew up on a golf course.
Yeah.
A country club. That's what he looks like.
Yeah, it's just...
You would have killed. I mean, it would just have been a nightmare how bad you would have just murdered the poor guy.
Well, the thing was, too, is like, I got a lot of anger built up in me.
You don't say.
Yeah, and, it's like, I tell my girlfriend's son sometime, he's big and strong. I say, you ever been in a fight? No. I go, you don't want to get in one. I said, I've been in lots of them because I have little man syndrome. And I was like, the one thing I learned when I was fighting, when I got in fights, is I just keep going because eventually other people get tired or they want to quit. And that's how I win, is I just keep going. So you got to put me down. You got to stay down. So it's like, it was stupid, like nobody, but like we were minding our own business. Remember when they were?
Yes, we were just sitting there having beers. Yeah. But that is the night I did finally. My love affair for her started that night, Jen Cohen. That was when she bought like a round of pitchers for the table, and then he was trying to pour beers, and he's dumping it all over. He just was an idiot. He just was just a putz.
I was like, I think McGrath said something like, "I remember my first time in a bar too." And I looked at McGrath, I go, "What were you, 12?"
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that was a great night. I miss you on that beat. Can you just go back and do it? You sometimes have to dabble and help out, don't you, with those guys?
No, not anymore. No.
Oh, I think you should.
Oh, it's so different up there now, though. It's not the same. College sports isn't the same. So
well, that's true. It's absolutely not. So, all right. So you're in Havre, Montana. Is it warm there now?
For Havre, it's warm. It's like 47 with the wind blowing. It's chilly,
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's nicer than Colorado. Better than Houston. It's better than being in Houston. That place sucks.
Okay, so I know you can't do this because you are a credentialed Major League Baseball reporter. You are the BBWA, right? Is that what it is?
What's up?
Okay, well, so I got a new thing here. DraftKings Sportsbook app. I'm betting every game on the under this year for the rest of the season.
Oh, yeah. I saw your un-American take on this.
Yeah, it's un-American, and because no one likes betting the under.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to win probably 70%. I'm projecting 70% I'm going to win on betting every single game on the under.
If I saw it anytime at 7.5, I would always go the under. I think it's usually 6.5.
Yeah, usually.
But like the other thing you can do is the first 5 under, because your starter is always going to be in there, especially like if it's Castillo. So the first 5 under,
Good call.
first 5 under is usually, I mean, like,
Folks, that's a degenerate gambler right
I
there.
know. So like the real betting sharps a lot of times in Las Vegas, they play the first 5 more than anything because it's the most reliable thing, because you're talking about starting pitching and you can kind of map that out.
You know what it is tonight? As we record this on Friday, it's 8.5.
Who is it pitching?
It's
It's
Jesus.
Ronel Blanco. He's got like
It's
a 1.
Blanco and Kirby. Blanco's like 1.50 ERA.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm taking the under on everything. So
yeah,
this it's gonna hit. This is 4-2 tonight.
I would take the under. I'll probably take the under. I know Blanco is not I don't think he's a huge strikeout guy, but like Mariner,
But with these
like,
guys, it's
Blanco
okay.
Over 4.5 strikeouts, probably money in the book. If it's, I don't know what it is. I haven't looked at the lines, because in the state of Washington and also in the state of Montana, God forbid you could bet on an app from your phone.
They'll change, don't you think? It's gonna change eventually. The
tribes have too much money and they have too much political power.
But I think that they'll change it though. They'll see that there's money there. They'll do it. They have to.
No, because there's no way for the tribes to get the money back. Like, you get the money. One, they get the money. The geo-tracking forces you to go in there, and you're people like me. Most people just can't go in there and hit the hammer on the app and then go. See, in Montana, they have the small
Surprised
casinos.
Montana doesn't have it. Of all
They
states,
have an app, but you have to do it geo-track close to a deal. So it's like a bar, and it's a bar or those little casinos like the Town Pump, Lucky Lil's Casino and stuff like that. We call it the Office here in Havre, the Magic Diamond Casino, where we usually go to.
Is that where you like to hang out? Is that your go-to spot in Havre?
Oh no, we go to the Gallery Lounge.
Gallery Lounge. What's the Gallery Lounge like?
It's a sports bar. It's where I learned how to bartend.
Okay.
That and the Palace Bar, I learned how to bartend there. But yeah, it's old sports bar.
What sets the Gallery Lounge apart from others?
Just my friends own it. We all all my friends used to bartend up there. I was a DJ up there at one point.
I would love. I would love to hear and see you as a DJ.
Oh my god!
Did you sit up in the booth?
Yeah, they had a booth, and you sat up there, and they had a dance floor. And
like, what are you playing? What is DJ? Did you have a name, DJ Divish? DJ
no,
Div Time?
No, like basically, I just went up there and played whatever people asked me to play. But like this is so long ago. I was probably in college, maybe.
What are you
in the
playing
summers.
It off your iPod here?
I had my laptop. And I had an iPod, and I had it plugged in, and we had CDs. Still, I had three CD players up there, and like you had it all like. You time it out. I mean, like I remember, like people were still listening to the Macarena back then, and like Barbie Girl and crap. So again, this is Havre, Montana, so that song could have been popular like 5 years later.
Yeah, right.
But like, we were still probably wearing Guess jeans and Bum Equipment sweatshirts and stuff.
Is it a lot of Are we spinning a lot of country?
No, it's not normally. It's just really kind of. It was like hip hop and rock music and stuff. You start with the rock.
When I think Havre, Montana, I think hip hop.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think I was the first person in town to ever own an NWA tape or CD.
Oh, I bet you were. I bet you. So what is he listening to over there?
Yeah.
What do you make of the Astros? You wrote a lot about it today, SeattleTimes.com. It's great. It's a great piece on just their struggles, 11-20. I mean, God, and all the injuries.
It'd have been a lot better if they didn't win last night. It would have been even better. Like they had to change it. I wrote it yesterday during the morning, and so then I had to change a bunch. They had to change a bunch of stuff because they played last night. Look, I don't. They're getting healthier, but it's like their bullpen. They remove. You lose Neris, you lose Graveman, you lose Stanek, and Phil Maton, who was a good reliever that gave the Mariners fits. You lose 4 guys like that, and granted, you're not going to be able to keep them all because they're free agents, but that has an effect, and they haven't proven like they can go out and build them like the Mariners have. And then you lose a bunch of starters, and guys like Hunter Brown and Forrest Whitley or whatever, they haven't proven like they can be sustainable starters. Ronel Blanco's a fine for him, but I think Urquidy's still coming back, and Christian Javier's not going to start now. So it's like they're beat up, and you see what happens. Like, this is what the Mariners, and I'm not Scott Service saying knock on wood, but the Mariners have used the same 5 starters all year. I think there's only 3 teams in all of MLB that have used the same 5 starters for the entire season.
Wow.
And so that's how quickly it can turn. You look at the Astros, though. I mean, they get in the right setting, they can win 8 or 9 in a row. You know, you have a stretch where you play the Angels and the A's and maybe somebody else crappy. But like they swept 4 times, I think, in that story. The Royals, Cubs, Yankees. I mean, like,
turned it around against the Rockies, like everyone in Mexico City, and then they just took 2 out of 3 from
the Guardians. Yes,
the Guardians, who and let's see, still the best record in the American League, I believe. Or let's say top one of the top records in the American League. Certainly one of the better teams, but
like this,
I'm not counting them out at all.
Yeah.
I'm not writing them off. It's weird the overreaction, at least nationally, from them has been, because I watch MLB Central like every morning, and it's like 2 weeks into the season, it's already like, well, I mean, if they can't get it turned around, they have like another 3 weeks before they start selling off. I'm like, it's just 2 weeks into the year. Like, they're going to be okay with all they haven't even got Verlander back.
Well, he just got back last week.
I know. At that point when they were talking about it.
I mean, like, that's the thing, though, is like the Mariners can make them. You take 2 or 3, though, that's 2 games you move up on them. Like, again, like, that's a big thing. And as I wrote, in the last few years before this, like, they would go there and they would blow games. Like, you just could see it coming, and it would get loud in that hellhole where I think they put in fake noise, and it would get loud in there, and you could just see it building, and something would go wrong, and they would hit everything, and it was just like crazy stuff in the ninth, and the Mariners could not win there, and it was like a mental block for them. And last year they swept them there. I mean, they go 6-0 in Houston last year?
6-1?
6-1? 6-1, yeah. 6-1.
I think 6-1.
I mean, like, and they weren't just wins; they kicked their ass last year, and that's big. Now, if you go back and look, they didn't always have their full lineup in there, but I mean, the Astros, the first 5 guys are really good, and Yainer Diaz, the catcher, is pretty decent. So,
because it's weird. Like, besides like Bregman, no one else is. I mean, Abreu, I guess, but like, okay, so Abreu's down; they sent him down, but Singleton's come in and done okay.
Yeah.
But besides Bregman, they're all have had that's what's weird about them. Altuve's been good. Alvarez has been fine. Pena's been fine. But it's like it's not like this whole group of guys who haven't done anything. It's really only just Alex Bregman from that. But then, to your point, their starting pitching has had so many injuries. But those guys are coming back.
Yeah,
and if they can stay afloat, they're going to be okay.
They'll make a run. Yeah, it's just like that's the thing is like their offense is averaging 4.4. I mean, 4.47 runs a game. The Mariners would kill for that. It's been a better offense. It's just like when they lose, they're giving up 7-8 runs a game, and that's the problem.
Can you imagine if they averaged 4.5 runs a game?
Oh yeah, I mean,
where they would be at. I mean, I bet we could go back and that would be a great Sunday project for you.
Yeah,
they just averaged 4.5 to 5 runs a game. What would their record be?
Well, it's just like if you think about it. So like the Haniger game the other day, he makes the error and they lose, and it could have been different. But like, think about how many games they won where they were absolutely terrible offensively. I mean, the Garver walk-off. There was the 1-0 win over, I think, Cleveland to start the year. They had another 1-0 win over Boston. I mean, like they, like we, the old adage, like the back of the baseball card, or whatever. But the old adage is, you win 60, you lose 60, no matter what.
Yeah.
Unless you're trying to tank and maybe you win 55. But you win 60 or you lose 60. And it's what you do in the other ones. But where do you rank these games? Like the Mitch game where you lost it, and there's no guarantee they win that. But like the Garver walk-up, is that one of the ones out of the bucket of the 60 you should lose, or the ones that's like, oh, we stole that one? For every game that we feel like they've given away because of no offense or mistakes, they've stole a couple as well. They're evening it out. And that's kind of what makes good teams is like, beat the good teams you're supposed to be, or beat the bad teams you're supposed to be, and then win some games that you shouldn't win because you're going to lose some games you shouldn't win.
Well, I think what they've shown over these last few series, and we mentioned it, I mean, these last teams that they have faced have all been their World Series caliber teams, all of them. And so they've gone and proved that they can beat those teams and they can play with them. It is, I think, I got to imagine for them, it's got to be a little frustrating because they know how good they are and how good their pitching is and how they know they can already beat them. But then at the same time, they have to look at their offense and go, God, if we just got a little bit more out of this offense, we're not only beating these teams, we can beat these teams kind of going away a little bit. I just think the potential of them is so great if they just had more offense and more production from the guys they have now and hopefully the guys they can add later.
Well, and it wears on teams a little bit. It's like it's not like the players don't recognize it, and they, the position players are the first ones to admit, hey, look, the pitching's carrying us. The pitching's carrying us. I'm sure they're tired. I know they're tired of saying it. I know they don't feel like a lot of times they're holding up their end of the bargain. It's like, but it's not going to get better until I think they're trying to make it better. And then, sometimes you're just going to have to make some changes to your lineup, to your batting order, whatever, to the point, because it's like, remember a couple years ago, everybody knew Jesse Winker was terrible in the outfield. He was just terrible. And the Mariners kept putting him out there because they didn't remember they were all banged up. They didn't have any outfielders. And they just kept putting him out there. And Jared was down in AAA, and they didn't want to bring him up because they were trying to prove a point to him about, you got to fix some stuff, and we're not going to bring you up. Even though they knew that Jared was a much better defensive option, and you would take the offensive issues because you were losing games. And then we went to Oakland that weekend, the one weekend when Winker misplayed a ball in the outfield. It cost Robbie Ray a game. It's getting late. It cost Robbie Ray a game. And he made a comment, about something. Just And then the next game, Winker made a mistake, and then that's when Winker talked to us about, like he admitted, like, oh, I got to make that play and stuff. And also he made a mistake, didn't make a play on a foul ball in foul territory. The next pitch, a guy hit a 3-run bomb off of Penn Murphy. And Penn Murphy looked like a guy that would kill a guy, like from straight out of Yellowstone. Like he's like Rip's younger brother.
Yeah,
he stared at Winker for like 30 seconds in the outfield. And I'm like, and then you know what? The next day, it was done. Like Service read the room and said, okay, it's gotten to the point we're at critical mass. I don't give a shit. Jerry, you're bringing this up because this is where we're at. We can't do this anymore. And I think at some point, if the hitting doesn't get better, Service is going to look at Julio and say, look, sorry, dude. I know you're hitting 270, but you're not good with runners in scoring position right now.
What do we do with them?
I don't know. Or it's like to Urias, you know what? If you don't do more at the plate, we'll play Rojas more. You're going to, this. And I mean, like, the problem is it's so spread out of who's struggling. And it's been, because for a while there, Haniger was really good and having really good at bats. And then, the 34-year-old guy, you play him every day, and all of a sudden he looks tired. Can't imagine why.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, they've in the first few weeks of the month, they've run him into the ground.
Yeah.
And that's, and I think that goes back, though, to the offseason and the issues with, I think roster construction was, everybody knows if he was healthy what he can do. But that's the problem with a lot of these guys, and him in particular. He won't stay healthy, but he's also getting older. I mean, I liked the addition of Garver, but I kind of just wanted Haniger to be the guy. Like, let's just make him be the DH. And that's a great DH.
I think you can get away with sitting Garver once in a while and playing Haniger as the DH, or you can maneuver it a little bit. But, it's weird too. Like when Ken Zone getting hurt, kind of messed up some things. And like when they brought up Clase, I was kind of like, well, okay, but how do you really use him? He's a switch hitter, but he's not great from the right side. And it was just kind of a weird deal, and obviously he's not with the team anymore because he wasn't playing, but I'm just kind of, And I thought, we would see Haggerty. I don't think it's like this huge, like the roster construction of depth. I think it's fine when they have to put some of these other guys out there, but it is kind of dominant because you get in that platoon situation. You're dominant to the platoon a little bit, and you don't have that versatility. Like, as much as everybody wanted a full-time DH, it really does bog you down sometimes if you have an older guy or two that you need to get rest. Same with like Cal. If you want to keep Cal's bat in the lineup or something, and that affects it a little bit more.
I get it, and you're right. It's a trend in baseball that's gone away to a degree. Where we just don't have the full-time guys anymore. But
I don't mind it either. It's like if you have prime Nelson Cruz, then it doesn't matter if you have prime JD Martinez,
right?
And I think Garver will help him. Like I said, it's just tough. Like Mitch wants to play every day, so he's always going to say he's ready to play, and he prepares like anybody. But like at the same time, you have to tell him, look, yeah, I know, but even if we get you 5 innings or 6 innings and you go in as a pinch hitter or whatever, because it's not like it was funny. I mentioned to Dipoto, like you could just see Haniger, like when they played on the turf in Texas, and then after the cold of Colorado, and he was out there running around the time, like just even how he jogged out to the outfield, you could tell like the beating, like he's sore, he's physically tired, and it's like you got to get him days or it's not going to work.
There's an alternative for him. I don't know why that guy doesn't have a first base glove.
Mitch?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he's ever played infield in his life.
He's a good enough athlete, isn't he? At some point he's played there at Little League or something. I mean, he's a fast learner, quick learner. I mean, Ty France never played it.
Not really, no. Garver plays first base too, though.
Yeah, they had him.
The problem is like the guys it's like, again, you have these clump of right-handed hitters that are all kind of DH types that are trying to play a position, and then you have, it's just a weird mix, and you don't even know how it works if Canzone's still there because they want to play him at DH. So it's like I don't know what they're gonna do, like to shake it up to get their offense going. I don't think they're at that point yet. And it's not like the pitchers are revolting against them, but there is a point where you have to look around and say, this isn't working. Whatever we're doing, we got to figure it out.
And there's no options, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing in Tacoma for him, is there?
No, not really. I mean, I don't see anything. And like, I saw people were talking about Tyler Locklear. That guy is more of a DH than Mitch Garver is. So it's like, I don't know. And he's playing down at AA. He's not even at AAA right now. So I just think they're just going to have to figure it out from within, and it starts by maybe hitting a few more homers. And I know it's not been great, but great weather and conditions to do it. I mean, they played the Braves. Braves didn't hit a homer the entire series.
I know. I mean, that's what's I mean, again, Ryan, that's what's maddening about them is they just shut down the #1 offense in baseball. And again, they won some games in which their offense really didn't do anything. It's just, this has been covering it forever. That's just hard to win for 160, playing that style, 162 games plus a year, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's just so hard to do that. Yeah, the mental pressure and angst with that stuff, especially with like your bullpen and all those pitchers, is that every night they're going out there and like living on the edge. That they've got to be perfect because their offense just can't do anything. And I don't know what they can do. I mean, they're not athletic really besides Julio in the outfield. I mean, Raley, Luke Raley he's okay, but I don't know. There's just a lot of holes.
Well, it's just
a lot of holes with them
so
offensively.
Odd. Like, again, like the guys they brought in, they're just not performing at any level close to what they should perform. But look at Polanco. It's funny too. Like Polanco, you'll see him for a game here, a game there,
yeah,
and then another game he just looks lost, and it's crazy because you look at his swing, you look at everything. It's simple. He's not got a lot of moving parts, but
he's getting on base.
Maybe Teoscar Hernandez is right. They can't see it off the batters. I know they did say the other day.
So that's because of the park. The backdrop?
I don't think so. I don't. That's what he said. He said something like he had a hard time seeing it the way.
Well, there's something there though, because you just said it. Well, the guys that they acquired aren't living up to the expectations that they were elsewhere. That's every year though.
Yeah.
Every single year, it's the same story with this. Whoever they bring in, it's just rinse and repeat. We heard that with. I mean, Teoscar's probably there are some exceptions. Teoscar, I think, for the most part, was an exception to it.
Yeah, I mean, he was okay. He wasn't great, though.
He wasn't Toronto great. Suarez.
If you look at his splits, they were bad, too. He was really good on the road and terrible at home.
Suarez was...
He was who he is, you know.
But like Winker... Like
Yeah,
Winker was
terrible.
just a disaster. Who's the second baseman from Milwaukee?
Colton
Wong, disaster. Like it just is it the park, the weather? Is it the way they teach things? It just seems like they get all these guys and they just never translate to where they were before to when they come here.
When I was cheating on you with that Foul Territory podcast, we talked about this a little bit.
You cheat anytime.
But I think it is. Justin Smoke admitted it. Beltray admitted it back in the day. It got in your head. And what they would do is just try and hit it harder, swing a little harder. I got to do a little bit more. And then that's when you get the swing and miss and the pop-ups and everything. And I know people get tired of hearing them say it. They're trying too hard or whatever. But players, and you've been around this, players take being embarrassed and playing poorly on the field very personally.
Yeah.
Because you know what? They're not used to it.
No.
In a lot of senses. They've always been the best player. They've always performed. So when they're and especially if you perform with success in the big leagues, then all of a sudden you suck. It drives the players crazy, and they do crazy stuff. They make major swing changes when they shouldn't. Dustin Ackley style. Look at Dustin Ackley. In his mind, he had the 230 or 240 year after being really good as rookie. So he struggled his second year, comes back with a whole new swing from Mike Bard, and it was a disaster. And he was never the same again. When he should have just said, hey, look, this is hard. They adjusted. I don't have to do anything major. I have to do something minor.
Yeah.
Now look at Kelnick. Kelnick's made so many major swing changes over the years. He's got to find one that works and kind of stay with it. And I think that's the big thing. You can't get caught up in the failures. And there are a lot. And I'm sure they're looking forward to hitting in Houston and even hitting in Minnesota because it's supposed to be a little warmer there. But this is what it is, and you can't freak out about it. But it's easier to say it. It's easy for Scott to say it, but
yeah.
No batter wants to walk up there and see 105 next to their name. And I think that's where some of the swing and miss is coming in, is that they're trying to force results by swinging at pitches that are out of the zone because they don't have them.
Well, what should they? I mean, can the club do anything? Do we close the roof? Do we? I mean, what?
Well, apparently it's bad to sacrifice a live chicken after what that high school team did. You see better. Supposedly Garver brought in like a bucket of KFC the other day, but I don't know. Like I can't. I was trying to get my girlfriend's son to watch The Natural, and he didn't find the losing is a disease guy very funny.
Yeah, The Natural's how old is he?
He's 16.
Yeah, he's not gonna like The Natural.
I'm going to force him to watch Vision Quest here in a few weeks.
Yeah, you are.
But like, no, I don't. It's just
would closing the roof do anything for him?
Oh, I think it'd be huge.
Seriously,
I think mentally for those. Oh, they hate it. They hate when the roof's
open. So then just close the thing.
But it's Chuck Armstrong and those guys. They don't want it closed.
But okay.
But it was freaking miserable the other night.
Fine.
I don't understand why fans would go.
But ask honestly, them though. But I mean, what's the advantage of having it open when it's miserable. 40 degrees outside?
I mean, that's the thing is they don't.
I don't get it.
And like Howard Lincoln and Chuck never sat on the field. They're in a box,
sipping his iced tea that had half a bottle of Tito's in it.
You were there the other day when the roof was open and the wind was blowing.
Awful.
It's miserable.
Yeah.
Like I know it's not climate control, but when the roof is closed, the wind level cuts down.
Yes.
And it plays fairer. I mean, it plays fair. Maybe the pitchers might not like it, but these guys are good regardless of conditions.
I would even go so far. I mean, can they do this where they put some type of like windscreen around the stadium? I mean, I don't know. I'm just spitballing stuff. It's just things that they could do around it that would prevent it. I mean, I don't understand why do they think fans are going to be annoyed if the roof is closed when it's cold? Because I'm a fan and I would not be annoyed by it, especially early in the season when it is cold. It's going to at least keep some of the wind out. Mm-hmm. Some of the heat will get trapped in because there's a roof. And the biggest thing is, I think, was it JP Crawford who tweeted at you about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, close the damn roof.
If it's you just talked about the mental side of the game, right?
Yeah.
If mentally it makes them feel easier at the plate, then do that. That would be the only reason. That would be the number one reason why I would do it.
Yeah. What did Crash Dave say? If you think you're winning because you're wearing women's underwear, then you are.
Have you showed the 17-year-old or the 16-year-old?
No, I haven't shown that one yet. Bull Durham. No, that's a little.
Well, he's 16.
Yeah, he just saw like Major League sort of for the
What do you
first
think
time.
he's up to at 16?
I don't know.
Come on. I think he's been around worse stuff than Bull Durham.
Puck, this kid is 16. He's 6'1", and he can bench press 230 pounds. Like, he's got it figured out better than I did.
Jesus, what are you feeding this guy?
Steroids and eggs, I guess.
Well, that's
apparently,
good.
But, you know.
How many trips are you running? Is there a Costco nearby, you guys?
Oh, it's absurd how much. They're twins. And so the daughter is a track athlete. They eat healthy and they eat a lot.
Oh. And do they wonder why? Hey, Ryan, why is that your 6th crown?
I know. Boy, you sure drink a lot, Ryan. I didn't used to.
Not until you two came in my life.
You're starting to gray up a lot. Yeah, I can't imagine why that's happening.
6'1", and he benches 235.
No, it's something. Yeah, you know, it's something. So Adam Jude is writing a story on the marine layer in the wind and the air. He talked to some scientists up at UW about it.
Really?
It's for Sunday's paper.
Oh, this
now
is
it's
great.
A little dorky. I'm sure it's a little nerdy. You know, Adam said, I go, how was that? I go, how was the nerd level of those conversations? And I was like, it's pretty nerdy.
I like it though.
But yeah, I think it's a fair question. I mean, maybe I'll email John Stanton and ask him, like, hey, why don't you
close it?
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
Maybe I'll have Adam take a straw poll. I'm going to text him now and Adam take a straw poll of that.
Yeah, straw poll it. Let's close the damn roof. All right.
Yeah.
Enjoy your. We'll wrap it up. Enjoy your time in Havre. You'll be back with him. What, in Minnesota?
Yep, I'm going to Minnesota.
Okay.
The best road trip in the American League.
Why is that?
Well, because it's right downtown. You can walk.
Oh, that's right.
You know?
Yeah. Great park. God, that's a great park.
Great park. I mean, it probably needs a retractable roof too, but like
it does.
Like that area down, and it got a little rough during the pandemic and stuff. But I know you've been down there, the Loon Cafe and all those little bars and restaurants you can walk.
It's just cool inside. Like they just did a great job inside the stadium. Like it's like and they have such a great rich history of baseball there, but the statues outside of Kirby Puckett and all those guys. And then when you go in there, just the way that it's laid out is cool. That little park that they have there just outside with the right field line that you can hang out. It's one of the best parks around. And you're right, the location is sensational.
Yeah, it's a blast. I mean, like I grew up, my first major league games that I ever went to were in the Metrodome in the old Hubert H. Humphrey Dome. And, you know, and I grew up loving Kirby Puckett. You're a short guy that, you know, like you love Kirby Puckett. And so see the statue and just go there. It's a fun place, you know?
Yeah.
And,
great city.
Yeah. It's probably one of my favorite in the American League.
Oh.
You know, it's slightly better than Oakland or Houston, you know, just slightly.
All right.
Detroit.
You enjoy Detroit. Yeah. Well, Detroit's a rough spot.
This year, you make sure when you have Jude on, ask him about his schedule because he's right now scheduled to go to Houston twice, St. Louis, Detroit, Cleveland.
Isn't St. Louis okay or no?
No, it sucks.
Really?
It's even worse. Oh, yeah.
I thought they had the best fans in baseball.
Yeah, just ask him about it.
Ryan Divish every Wednesday and Fridays. It's all brought to you by Chalet Bowl. Again, family owned and operated, established in 1941, Tacoma's Proctor District. Operated for 40 years by the Frederick family. I just saw it. Reggie just tweeted out or posted a picture on Instagram, him and his wife, of when they bought the place. Standing outside 40 years ago. Reggie actually looked healthy and good looking, which is remarkable because he's neither of those two things now. They serve your bowling, food, and fun experience. I love you, Reggie. Unique 12-lane facility. He is the best. ChaletBowl.com to make your reservations.
When you get some warmer weather, you're going to have to come down to your summer home. We'll go play home course, or we'll, you know, and then hit the Chalet Bowl. Maybe have a little 11-11, you know, something like that.
All of it. All right, thanks, Div. Appreciate it.
See you, Puck.
All right, there he is, Ryan Divish. Find it everywhere on your platforms, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and, of course, PuckSports.com.